Just do it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 5.
Thank you, Ruby.
General Fund Workshop. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you, Monty.
General Fund Workshop A, presentation of the City of Brawley General Fund budget for fiscal year 2015-2016 and request for staff direction.
Thank you, Money.
Where is he?
She's ignoring me.
No, she's not going anywhere.
Like,
She's on the next.
yeah, I'm like, money.
Oh,
Keep
it's
waiving the fees. I got news for you guys.
Do you want it?
You guys keep waiving fees, man.
Okay,
We're gonna have no utility tax. All this fee. It's gonna be bad.
I don't think.
$2 is gonna, yeah, but every bit
You better believe it.
over time. But
So, good evening. It is that very special time of year where staff is readying for direction and guidance from the council. And for members of the public who are here, there are extra copies of the PowerPoint slides and hopefully slides as well before the council. So tonight's discussion is a follow-up to the strategic planning meeting last month. And in preparing for tonight's discussion, we've done a heavy revisit of the guidance that was provided at strategic planning that was held over at the EOC. And we are prepared to provide you with an update and solicit feedback. The hope tonight is that I can give you a good sense of what our estimates are for the general fund only, for our revenues and expenditures. Remind council that we've got the Affordable Care Act that's still part of our local context, and we'll be waiting and measuring in the defined period for this next fiscal year. And we're reminding you what happened last year and what strategies were employed. We were directed to take a look at some topics for further research, so we'll revisit some of the results of that, and then, of course, always be open to questions and comments. We're very excited to be able to share with you tonight that the estimates as they stand for tonight's workshop suggest that we will, in fact, be able to continue our existing service levels. We have been able to close this gap between anticipated expenses and revenues with realistic but conservative projections. Coming out of our strategic planning meeting, City Council conveyed to us that public safety and streets are intended to stay intact and be advanced. Although there are many city priorities that are part of quality of life in the city, that every effort be made to maintain existing staffing levels at in public safety and in streets. And as you may recall, many aspects of public safety are carried by the general fund. And on the streets end of the universe, while special funds take care of delivering or funding many of our projects, because of the manner in which we configure the engineering division, animal control, and the city engineer over it, there are general fund expenditures associated with the streets-related work. We've done our very best to limit capital projects, and I know you'll probably have a little bit of sticker shock as to what's on the wish list, but the intent of tonight's discussion was to give you the great news that we're going to be able to maintain our staffing levels, but also what I've tried to do is screen critical capital projects. And while they're likely in excess of what the council's willing to authorize, I think they are all valid, worthy projects that we look forward to hearing your feedback on. Last year, as well as prior years, we had direction and support from the council to carry out a number of 4- and 5-year plans. You're going to see reference to those with several departments. And then we're going to talk a little bit about cost recovery opportunities. The ones that you may recall that had discussion last year were in the fire arena, as well as tied to Lions Center related operations costs. Okay, so we're on an installment plan for our $1 million fine. We're accounting for that in tonight's presentation. We know we had a major employer close. We've got our joint powers insurance premiums that are in a state of flux, and we're working to reconcile. We know the Affordable Care Act is out there, and we are very aware that the council and the public at large are interested in seeing the city do more with less. So there isn't a reduction in expectations. There's definitely a desire for us to do the very best we can within our financial constraints. So just as a revisit, in 14-15, the fiscal year that will end June 30, we took a hit to the general fund, just under $500,000. And what's remarkable about that, when you put it into the context of the general fund, is that we still were able to adopt, or the council was able to adopt a balanced budget last year, despite these setbacks. And we had very high intentions to get to you the final audit numbers as part of this agenda, but as a result of many competing deadlines, it didn't make it onto this agenda. It's expected at your next one. The very good news that all of us are kind of sounding trumpets about is that in our last audit year, despite very, very difficult times, we have ended the general fund in excess of $100,000. And that's taking into account the fine paid to the regional board and the limited capital projects that we have undertaken. So,
which is incredible, considering all of us were deeply concerned, what the future held for us. But sorry to cut off. I'm just saying, I think it suffice it to say we can stay on the track that we're heading the right direction. It looks like there's some positive hope there.
It definitely helps to know that all of the checks and balances that are in place and the frugal approach to the manner in which we conduct business, it's paying off. And while it may take quite some time to get to the yellow brick road, we're on our way. So that's pretty exciting. With regard to the Affordable Care Act, the current budget in its draft form assumes that life before the Affordable Care Act versus life in 15-16, that the costs across various staff who are eligible will be $286,604. City Council approved a mid-year budget adjustment last year that accounted for 50% of this. So this is just a reminder that this dollar amount is in play this year, and it wasn't in play last year. This is a slide that intends to capture the breakdown of the general fund in total. So the general fund is just below $15 million. It's one among many funds, but it's how we finance many of our key services. And so what this slide is intended to do is show how various departments take up portions of the pie. And so it gives you a breakdown by department. And if there are departments that are capturing based on a specific subset, like fire department generally and station number 2, you'll see how those kind of in total what they utilize as part of the city's overall general fund pie. Any questions on this slide? Okay.
Are the alternating colors just for?
So you can just tell
Okay.
which one goes with it.
It's not like one's in the red and
Right.
one's not.
No, they're orange. I'm sorry. They're orange.
Okay. That's what I figured.
Maybe a color that's not so alarming next time.
Yeah.
I apologize. Okay.
Was there a reason why you included the ones where you have the stars and the 2 stars, 3 stars, et cetera? Is there a reason for that, why they were included, even though they're not coming out of the general fund? That they're actually grant funded, I think in some cases, fee funded, or cost recovery?
So the reason they're captured there is because the funds that are associated with each of those are a reimbursement to the general fund. The general fund fronts the cost,
They front
and
the cost.
reimbursement follows.
Okay, so that's why you're putting it.
So when we look at how the general fund is carved up, this is their actual portion. If we had reduced reimbursement anticipated, you would likely see the revenue side reduced too, unless the council opted to continue to fund an
Right, okay.
activity that was not entirely
Okay.
reimbursed.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the last 4 years. And what I'd like to highlight in this slide is that in the year ending 13 and 14, we ended with a surplus, which represented $365,000 and $156,000. In 2015, which is the year we're currently in, we don't know how the year will end until it's June 30 and an audit is performed, but per the budget that was approved, our operational revenues matched our operational expenses, and the general fund use that is identified represents capital projects that were approved, as well as the penalty payment to the Regional Water Quality Control Board.
So that's out of the reserve?
See units.
Correct. And that was the manner in which the budget was approved. Operational revenues matched expenditures, and those other payments were taken outside of the operational budget because they are seen as finite expenses, not ongoing for the rest of time. Based on where we are currently in this budget process, we anticipate that 2016, based on the assumptions, which tonight assumes no capital projects, but that we would land at somewhere around 160,000 credit at the end of next fiscal year, based on this.
If we didn't do any capital projects and any of the other things that we might do that are special in nature.
Yes. And hopefully, when I go through those individual department slides, some of them are going to be very familiar to you as known plans. If they were known plans, they were assumed. If they weren't known plans and they're new wish list items,
It's a wish list of items.
yes.
So if we go with the capital projects, that either means we need to increase the revenue or look for grants for those, or we would have to pull that money from the general fund reserve.
The intent would be to use your excess funds available or your reserve, and we know that our reserve is in excess of our general fund reserve preservation policy.
Correct.
At the end of last year, we were approximately 1.3 million in excess of the required set-aside per council
And the
action.
required set aside is a three point something million, right?
It was 15%
15%,
of operational expenditures, and the exact amount, I'll give you right now, was $2,483,441.
$2,483,000. Okay, and we're money over that right now.
Yes, we're,
We're well beyond that.
Well,
yeah, 3.7,
Right.
closer to 3.8, something in that.
She's trying to let us know that we have money to use for this.
For one-time
Right.
wish list
I just want
projects.
to let the public know, you
Right.
know, how this kind of goes so that we understand what's going on.
Okay. There's some really great
So they can
projects.
spread the word.
I can't wait to tell you about them. Okay. Okay, so just a recap on how the general fund is spent. You may recall several years ago that our pie was looking like over 82% was devoted to employee compensation. You can see this mix is changing a little as our employee base has not grown, but rather reduced, even though some of the costs of doing business have increased with regard to compensation. We are still smaller today of the pie than we were in past years. But this helps to kind of frame how much do we actually spend on supplies and materials and services outside of compensation. And this is the recap of the folks who have been carried by the general fund, how that's changed over the last 5 years. In 2012, we were at 122 and a quarter, and we're now at 115.8. And I will share with you that there is really a net effect of one additional staff member from last year to this year, and that has to do with the fire department plan to add a firefighter a year for 4 years. There's one other staffing-related matter that didn't result in an extra body, but is assumed in the budget for next year, which is the conversion of an admin secretary for the planning department. It is recast as a planning technician with a slightly altered compensation associated. So, but in essence, the net effect is one additional general fund position this next fiscal year that's proposed. Okay, so we're tied to obligations that are in our bargaining agreements with the firefighters, the Sergeants Association, public safety employees, as well as Teamsters. Those agreements are scheduled to expire in 2016. So that is definitely on the horizon, but for this next year, we know pretty well what our expenditures are going to be as they pertain to staff. The one unknown being the Affordable Care Act and the direction that premiums may be headed from CalPERS. Okay, and then we've also got the General Fund Reserve Preservation Policy, which I imagine the council would like to see honored in the next fiscal year. So it's assumed going forward that those that 15% set aside will be accounted for. Okay, so I'm going to start going through our departments, and please feel free to stop me along the way. As part of the fire department budget, majority general fund carried. We're proposing year 3 of 4 for the additional firefighter. Last fiscal year, there was a direction provided by council for staff to take a closer look at cost recovery opportunities that could have been associated with charging people for service when there's a call. And so our fire chief has pursued that topic and determined that for non-medical fire service calls, if the city began to bill local residents for that service, so that'd be showing up to a traffic collision, any number of incidents that are non-medical or a fire, that we would turn over that event to a third party that on an 80-20 split would participate in cost recovery. The chief utilized 2014 service statistics to help gather a dollar amount. The total gains that were anticipated based on our local population and the service calls is $32,000. Since the amount at this point was viewed as $32,000 is significant, but in light of how it may be received by the public, we didn't assume it in the budget projections. If the council would like to see us go this direction, we're definitely open to hearing that feedback.
If I could, I'll just address, because I've kind of on the periphery, I guess you can say, been involved in that idea. I've been to, through work, other presentations with other cities where this is a big topic. I'm just disappointed that just through a little bit of research, that figure would be so small. I figured it might be a little bigger. And I do want to share with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rosanna, it's the whole basis of this is there's reimbursement, federal and state, I think, funds or one or the other that are involved in having a fee schedule. If you charge, it opens you up to some additional potential. I think I'm supporting funding from some higher sources. I don't know if it's federal or state. I figured it to be more. And I obviously with bigger municipalities, it's a bigger number. But I would kind of echo what was just mentioned here, $32,000. I hardly think it's something that we would want to take to the citizens, at that amount. I don't know that the benefits outweigh, the service that's being provided.
So I instructed our chief to go out, talk with other jurisdictions, talk with service providers, and what was determined is despite the scenario where we implemented this type of service, we would not be eligible for state and federal reimbursements.
Okay.
And so, do you have any other info to share?
That's correct. Usually our federal and state reimbursement comes in the form of mutual aid responses outside of Imperial County, for instance, wildfires and things like that. I researched it through Calexico and El Centro, and they do not receive any state or federal for non-medical emergency responses. The cost or the reimbursement or the cost recovery for the $32,000 is not just for the citizens of Brawley. It's anybody that's passing through the city that we provide a service to. So this is not captured just for citizens of Brawley.
Question, does El Centro and Calexico and everybody else charge for that?
Yes, all cities charge except for Westmoreland and Brawley. Calpat charges and Hopeville does as well. Hopeville is very unique. They do an itemized charge. For instance, the supplies used on a medical aid.
So they do.
So the tally
But
increases.
the other ones do not do itemized, they just do a charge.
A flat rate charge?
Flat rate type charge.
Calexico doesn't itemize because they're a transport agency. The city of El Centro does a flat rate.
Flat rate.
Just furthermore, just since we're on the topic, is the charge of, like you said, you have itemized, so you have different schedules or different operating models. Chief, what were you looking at for us? Like a flat fee charge per response, or?
I'm still researching in what's going to be best for our potential, so.
This is non-medical, so we don't charge for medical.
No, we don't.
And no one does.
Currently, we don't charge for any services that we provide.
Currently, we don't charge for that.
No.
How did you come up with the $32,000 figure?
It actually went through the third-party company that I'm working with, and I just gave projected number of calls and how they were itemized between motor vehicle accidents, vehicle fires, false alarms, so on and so forth.
Historical.
And they just gave me a projected cost
Are you billing those individuals, or would they be cost recovery from the insurance companies?
through insurance companies.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
To me-
it's really the individual, but ultimatally it's their insurance,
Sure.
right? So,
Whatever
yeah,
pays
you
that.
still gotta be.
So for
You
instance,
collect
if you're.
some and you won't collect some.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
for instance,
what
if you're involved in a vehicle accident, we would not charge you directly. It would go through the insurance company, and that's basically what your liability insurance is there
That's what
for.
it's for.
And my understanding is very few cases, it's hard for me to state this for fact, because every municipality is going to be different, but I think it's important to note, what we're after is additional funding that might be out there that we're not
Sure.
recovering. But rarely is it really taken directly from the citizen paying the bill. Now,
Right.
of course, there's people with means, not an issue, or whatever, maybe
Yes.
they cut the check.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the object of this is really not ultimately to go to our citizens and get them to subsidize these calls as much as there's mechanisms out there that we can go out and recover that cost from a third party.
Right, right.
like you
That's
mentioned.
correct.
Let me ask this question. If they are billed for service and they don't pay, does it affect their credit? What ends up happening?
No, it doesn't affect their credit. I think it goes into, I believe it's a 90-day period. After 90 days, of course, there's a percentage that's added to it. It's very rare that somebody goes to collections with this company that I'm working with.
Any other questions?
Maybe
I guess my concern is that I think we need to approach any revenue that we can approach in a certain way. If it's out there for us from insurance companies or whatever, I believe since we make the runs and it is a non-medical and it is an issue, I think we should try to recoup all the costs that we can recoup. I know it sounds like a small amount, but $32,000 replaces the rolling gate for fire station number 1, or it pays a portion of the new fireman. So my concern is that we need to look at these revenue sources, and we need to make a hard look at them.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I kind of brought it up as something to explore. I guess I'm a little bit, just hearing the number today.
It's not a lot.
Right
Well,
now, yeah, I'm just
yeah,
surprised. I figured it might be more.
You look at the number, it's kind of really low, but I mean, taking into account, this is non-medical, so this is everything else.
Yeah, you do a
But the
lot of-
majority of our calls out of the fire department is medical.
Right.
And when you talk about you're working with this company, is this company would do the collecting? Is
Yes.
that so we wouldn't have to do any of the
No,
paperwork or anything?
no.
Well, that's even better.
It would not fall back on finance department's
Good.
hands. But we do track it, they're transparent, we see what's happening, we
Right.
just provide them the data information that we collect at the time.
Yeah. I know we've talked about it for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Yeah,
it's
we have.
finally.
Looks good.
I think it's good.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
It looks good.
So if the council wanted to see such a strategy implemented, we'd be looking for direction from you to pursue it beyond this point. It might be something to consider as the utility user tax faces expiration.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
it might be
All
a strategy,
fees.
although it's not a whole lot in comparison to that figure either.
But it's something, and I think it's a great idea, especially if our finance department doesn't have to do the paperwork. I think it's even better. Yeah.
So to save 32, it's going to cost us 20, Rosanna? Is that what it is?
It's conceivable.
So for tonight's capital wish list item, it is a rolling gate with a keypad for fire station number 1. The parking lot is scheduled for rehabilitation, a significant project that you've approved earlier today. The fence will come down as a part of that project, and initial estimates are being collected, but we're in the realm of 15 to 20. And we have a rolling gate that's been requested by the fire department as a companion to the project being undertaken.
Can I ask this up front?
Sure.
Of the wish list items, what is the dollar amount total for all of the items that you're considering?
$640,000.
$640,000, and that would be one-time
Yes.
use? Okay.
Correct.
And that still would allow us to have a 15%
Plus
set aside?
over $500,000 in excess of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next slide is the police department, and wanted to update you that this was a really tough exercise this year to maintain the levels of staffing on this front, where from a general fund point of view, so much of the pie is devoted to supporting the police department and the critical services they provide. The chief was excellent at working with me to discover if there were any areas that we could use special funds for. So the police department, as you may recall, has really different resources than a lot of departments. It's similar to Public Works in that there are many categories of funding that are available for very, very specific purpose. So where we could, we worked together to identify where there was a match. And as a part of the assumptions, there is a set of projections that include graffiti abatement being carried by special funds. It'll show up in the general fund as a expenditure, but it will be reimbursed by a special fund that allows for that activity. Video cameras are a part of the Alice A. Giroux project, and a line item is proposed to incorporate the video cameras because it's an allowed expenditure for the special funds. On their capital wish list is the acquisition of 3 marked vehicles. These are replacement vehicles. 11 vehicles have been purchased over the course of the last year and a half or so. None of those vehicles have been acquired using general fund. They were all either special funds or development impact fees that were collected, and the cars were on the needs list. The 3 vehicles that are scheduled for replacement, we can't use special funds for because it would be viewed as supplanting the general fund, which isn't allowed. The 3 vehicles will hit the 100,000 mileage mark and have significant maintenance histories that are available for the council to see. As part of tonight's wish list, we've got these 3 marked vehicles requested. If these are supported, the remaining vehicles are relatively youthful, and we don't anticipate coming forward for the next 2 fiscal years. Okay. So Parks and Rec, and I'll try to increase my pace here. Parks and Rec, we've got a number of scenarios, just want to make you aware of. First, we're continuing with the downtown detail crew. This is the group of volunteers that we partner with out of Working Alternatives. They commit to doing their best to provide 3 days a week of service. Depending on supervision availability, we may or may not be able to hit the mark. We support them with Johnny's Burritos. And so that is actually assumed as a part of the budget.
It's actually in our report today, one of the expenses, Johnny's Burritos for the crew, and there's like 30 or
That's,
40.
yeah. So that's what it is. Last year, we funded the initial setup of equipment and a rehab of a trailer we had. It was split between Streets and Utilities and Parks and Rec to carry the cost, but now the group is outfitted. We have all the equipment we need, and we hope to continue to use them as we really miss the prison crew and a lot of projects that we do in the downtown. On the staffing level topic, want to just note that the Parks and Rec Department has many temporary employees who are still functioning in a full-time capacity. They are proposed for the same next year. Last year, we were able to restore 2 permanent full-time maintenance worker positions. Unfortunately, that is not assumed this next year, and we're hoping for better days ahead when we can put forward those recommendations in the future. But as it stands, we would move ahead with next fiscal year with 2 temporary full-time maintenance workers, 1 full-time temporary receptionist, and 1 full-time temporary senior center coordinator. This year, we also instituted some cost sharing with 3 of our partners. Those are the high school, the elementary school district, and Imperial Valley Aquatics, Desert Aquatics. We are in various stages of signing of an MOU. It was only a 1-year MOU, so I am asking the council if there is support for continuing that strategy in the future. Brawley Union High School participated at the $2,000 level. That's what's part of the MOU. Brawley Elementary School District was at the $500 level, and these are all based on utilization periods throughout the year. And the Desert Aquatics was $3,000. So in total, we would have the opportunity to recover about $5,500. Not currently a part of revenue projections, but if we have council support, we certainly.
That's fine.
Looks like everyone's in support of that. Okay. And then lastly, last year, you were year 3 of 5 on sand replacement. This was a finding from the Joint Powers Insurance Authority that we were not restoring sand levels in our playground equipment, and it has the ability to absorb when kids jump off of our swings and different features in the parks. Pat Dorsey moved forward with acquisition of all the sand to do all of the sites this fiscal year, so that project will be knocked off of the to-do list faster than expected. Okay, so on our capital wish list, and I know this is a lot, but there are many, many worthy projects on this front. We've got an ailing fence at Gonzalez Park. If you haven't taken a look at it, you might just take note your next drive on East Street. It's in bad shape.
And I had public comment regarding that item recently, so, yeah.
Generally speaking, our highest use parks are Gonzalez and Hinojosa. So you'll see that we're focused on these particular locations because of their heavy daily use. We've got water fountains that need to be replaced at both, and you'll see their current state is just very sad and non-functioning, and there's clearly a need for water in the heat, so we're proposing a replacement of those water fountain features. And we have the bleacher project, which I want to share with you. We've got many, many bleachers throughout the city of Brawley. They've been an awesome feat of city staff that have withstood the test of time. They are not, however, compliant with the requirements and expectations of our insurance company. So we are trying to get on a plan for bleacher replacement. They are very costly to replace. As it stands, we have approximately 34 bleachers with seating throughout the city, with seating for just under 2,000 people. What we are proposing tonight on the capital wish list is the replacement of the bleachers at our 2 highest use parks, and those would total, they're approximately $10,000 and some change apiece. Those are part of our wish list today.
Rosanna, are we gonna go back with the wood or the aluminum? How are we gonna?
No, they're an aluminum with side rails and a catch bottom.
Rails,
That'd be
right.
good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
'cause
kids
I
don't
don't
fall
think we can
through.
flip these over anymore.
I will share with you that we had the best of intentions to use the talents of our staff, who are great at fabricating. When the guys went to work on these, and this is just one picture, I have many, many more, they found each part they began to fix failed in another location. So this is where we are, and we certainly would appreciate your support or consideration of.
They've already done their time, so, and
They've been there
repairing
a long
aluminum's
time.
gonna be nice, too.
They're as old as us, huh, Don?
Kinda.
They may be.
They've done a good job, though.
Yeah.
We got our money out of them, too.
That's right.
And then, last but not least on the capital wish list is, if you haven't taken a look at it, Jeff Thornton Park. It's in the lineup for some TLC. We've got Gateway Church has agreed to adopt this park. And there are several features they're going to work on with us. Sadly, the playground equipment out there, which isn't that old, had some issues, experienced some issues.
Experienced too.
And we now have two portions of the playground structure that are totally out of commission. They're boarded up, cannot be used. And the difference between repair and replacement of these features is within $1,000. So on the wish list tonight is a $12,000 repair of the equipment at Jeff Thornton to be delivered next fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay. Community Development Services, we have two 5-ton ACs that are on life support. Hoping for your assistance with addressing those the next year. We can always do what we've done at other locations, which is wait for them to completely fail, but we have some, okay. I'm sorry.
Let's get them done.
Okay, yep. The library, I pulled a couple photos that help to show the situation out there. I know we don't have a lot of excess capital, so we're trying to be resourceful with ways to accomplish it. If we do some repair work and a refresh of the paint at the library, it makes sense to do finance at the same time because they're right across from each other. We are requesting support for an $8,000 largely in-house project.
Including the Imperial Hardware discount?
I don't think we can deliver it in time for their pricing timeframe. We may have to utilize outside help to do some of the stucco repair, but it'd be very, very limited. Otherwise, we'd be relying on the talents of our staff.
Okay.
Okay. IT, we've got 3 IT projects that are requested. One has to do with the manner in which we save our email communications, which I will share with you right now has some vulnerabilities, even though we have obligations as a city to produce those emails and information if required. So we have 3 IT projects. We've got the firewall refresh as well as an upgrade that will allow for Public Works and Parks and Rec to connect to the citywide system.
All right.
Okay, Public Works. 2 projects. We've got the gates, a potential project to gate 3 entrances at Public Works. As you may remember, G Street runs through the middle of it. So the goal is to create electronic gates. It would be done at the same time as the fire station if you supported the fire station project going forward, so we have the best pricing possible. These are just rough numbers. You may also recall on Western Avenue, there is another gate entrance that's closest to the alley. That work was once, or that area was once the site of a monitoring well, and you may recall maybe 12 months ago, the monitoring well was removed, and now there's a dirt area. The intention is to convert that to parking space, so we can minimize the impacts on the abutting neighborhood. And we are proposing to perform that work in-house. We just need cement and materials at approximately $10,000 to accomplish that project. Okay. This is one of the largest items on our list, but you can see the state of our parking lot. This is the Public Works yard. I will share with you, even though it is a large number, it's not a total fix. It's only addressing the areas that we use most. So taking on the entire area would not be accomplished as a part of this rehabilitation project.
And if we were to invest the 250, that would, you're saying it's the heavy used area, right? And it is in awful shape. It probably wouldn't need to be touched again for, what, 20 years if we were to do
10
it?
to 15 years is the
10 to 15?
lifespan.
All right, what we did, we divided the Public Works parking project in 6 phases. This will cover 3 of the phases, which is the area that you see right now, going on the G Street gate, the area where we park equipment, and also the area that is utilized by the shop and by Parks and Recreation. So it's kind of like creating a U. Those are three phases. The other phases that are not included in this project, so basically all the areas that are paved right now would be included for rehabilitation. The areas that are not included would be the area where we park equipment or vehicles to be picked up by the
Surplus.
no.
Bid company, surplus.
By the
household.
No, surplus, the surplus area, as well as the area where we stage materials.
Right, okay,
And so those are the other areas that are not included.
okay, thank you. So 10 to 15 year in the heavy used areas,
That's
all right?
$250,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to note, planning, city clerk, city manager, city attorney, engineering, personnel, no changes. All status quo, no capital projects assumed. Non-departmental budget. I know this never seems to get much attention because it's not too fun to talk about, but the ACs have been a topic in front of the council, and we have made a move towards getting some of our units under maintenance contract. We are estimating to get all units under contract is in the realm of $45,000 to $50,000. This is not assumed in our budget. As we have acquired new AC units, it's kind of a fresh start. It'd be great to get them all onto a maintenance contract, but this is a project based on some estimates that our chief has helped compile on the total number of units and what it would take to have servicing of
Would
those
you do a
units.
contract for 1 year?
No, it would likely be a multi-year contract, so we wouldn't have to go out again for a couple of years.
I
This
don't
is
know.
like doing a service agreement, so we can get, we
Right.
can have the unit serviced on a regular scheduled basis. This is what we need. This eliminates that unscheduled failure that we deal with.
The only thing is, the cost seems
Yes.
excessive. For 68 units, 50 grand, that would make it, $750, $800 per unit per year. So that seems like an awful lot of money.
I would be happy to have, the chief actually undertook the project to compile all this data for us.
I think that's assuming all the filters and the labor and stuff like that.
It could be, yeah.
Hello. Yes, the 68 units, and we have a variety of units from 7-ton to 5-ton, 4 and 3 and 2. The larger units are the 5 tons and up. They have, what this comes with the maintenance, and this price might be lower once we go out to compete and based on the sheer quantity of them, but we were using what we had as the basis for to get the estimate. What's happening with this is you get 10 monthly preventative maintenance per unit, and that also includes 1 super tune-up just before the summer for every single unit.
See, it's not bad.
So it is, the super tune-up, especially for the 7-ton, is, somewhere up to $700.
Right.
But typically, you're looking at 65 to 70 for the maintenance, and that includes all the changing and the filters and
Filters,
everything.
right, okay.
So
So it would be that. It would be nearly a monthly changing of filters. They come out there, inspect it, and.
10
okay, so
months a
there's-
year plus the super tune-up, so.
That would make sense.
It's almost a full a year worth of
Yeah.
maintenance, so.
With
All right.
them
Thank
doing
you,
that and
Chief.
cleaning the coils and condensers and
Right.
stuff,
Yeah,
it
one
makes a
time, yeah.
big
Right.
difference.
Every bid that's included in the contract as well.
Councilmember
My
Kent.
only concern is long-term contract with our utility tax possibly going by the wayside. This $50,000 expense may be something that we would have to take another look at. So my only cautionary thing would be long-term contract in this situation. Maybe contract up until the time of the utility tax and whether we just make any decisions on that, and then maybe go from there. I'm just concerned about 5 or 6 years, you have a utility tax go away, you're scrounging for money to make up $1 million something shortfall in your budget, and then you've got a $50,000 contract here that you have to abide by. That would be my concern.
One thing the council might consider is that the ACs are the cost of doing business, and our practices in recent times have been to just hope that
Right.
deferred maintenance is going to work out in
Right.
our favor. But the ACs, whether, we wish for it or not, I mean, I guess the question is, are we willing to forego the maintenance activity?
Well, my only concern is we may be forced to in the future, depending upon our financial.
But we can set up a 2-year service
Yes,
agreement.
right, absolutely, and that's what I'm talking about. A short range, I'm more in tune with a short range, even if we have to pay a little bit more, just so that we can escape from that if necessary in the future.
The way the current maintenance agreements are written, it allows for a 30-day notification
You
of
can get out.
cancellation.
I was gonna say,
That
I don't think
resolves
everybody
it.
I'll give us to the last, yeah.
There we go.
It's like a gym membership.
Okay. I just have a
Thank you,
couple
Chief.
more slides there.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for keeping us cool, Chief. That's-
Yeah.
It's freezing in here tonight.
know.
Yeah, it
Perfect
is.
timing.
Chief needs to start moving.
Okay,
No, right?
this is an
It's cold
identical
outside,
slide
you
to
know.
last year's contribution
Yes,
slide.
yes.
Everything that's listed here is a constant from last year going forward to next year as assumptions. Just wanted to recap that. And if you have any questions or comments, we're happy to take them.
I just think that we're in a pretty good position here financially, so I think, for me, it's refreshing to see that this is just a wish list, and we're actually in a position to where we could afford to do these improvements or one-time expenses, so that's a good sign. I know several years back, being on council, we were using a significant amount of our reserves to operate and keep things functioning, so that doesn't seem to be the case here tonight. I know that
Congratulate the staff.
the figure that stands out to me certainly is the parking lot rehabilitation, but I've been on that parking lot many times, and I know it needs it sooner than later, whether that's to prevent an injury or, just whatever else occurs on that site. And it's heavily used, that's our largest department, Public Works, so there's really nothing here, at least for me, that gives me too much heartburn. I know many of the items are, it's been mentioned before, such as the replacement of the bleachers. They've certainly been used all over the place. I know they get used not just in parks, but during our parades and
They
things
get
like that.
moved around.
So they're beat up quite a bit, so. But really, there isn't anything here that stands out, at least to me. So, comments from council?
I want to say thank you to staff for putting this together and still keeping us with our contingency for our reserve carryover. I mean, we're still falling in that number too, so I think we're on track, so thank you guys.
Doing good. I want to congratulate everyone. I know it's hard work, a lot of time has been put into this, and congratulations as a leader.
So
Thank-
the
thank
patrol
you.
vehicles, that was another question that I had. The 3 patrol vehicles that we're proposing, that's a $140,000 expense. That, you had mentioned, they're coming from the general fund. The other vehicles had been purchased, 11 other vehicles over the past year and a half have been through special funds or through development impact fees that have been collected over the time, right?
They were different types of vehicles too. We had some marked, some unmarked.
Right,
We had the
okay.
transport down, the motorcycle, and the graffiti abatement, little Chevy S10.
Right.
Yeah.
That was picked up
Right.
for a couple $1,000.
Is there any item on here that any council member has a particular heartburn over? The total amount, if we were to approve these items, is $640,000. Is there concern with respect to that dollar amount being used on a one-time basis? Or are there particular items that you would like to see more information on?
Does that include the AC maintenance contract? No. And it does not, does it include the other contributions?
Yes.
It does include those?
Those
but
were
not
just
the-
carried
But
forward.
not the
Right.
non-departmental budget,
No.
the wish list there? Okay.
To me, one of the biggest things is air conditioning, especially
You
for our
wanna add
kids and
that.
our senior citizens. So I think that's something that we really need to put forward.
Sure.
I'll go as far as saying where we live, if you don't have air conditioning, you're out of
Trouble.
business.
Right, I mean-
It's that simple, it's that important, so, and I think we addressed it with some of the breakdowns that we've had just recently in this last
Right.
year, so I think it just comes down to, as Councilmember Couchman's echoing, just do our due diligence, get the best service contract, and I think service contracts all depend on what you get.
Right.
So if you get a full service with super tune-up, and we can really realize a benefit in and of, if we avoid 2 or 3 breakages a year, and we don't have interruption in service, it should offset what that.
And if we're not responsible for filter replacement, just ensure that we do get the filters at the proper times and at the
Sure.
proper setup based upon the agreement. I mean, that's the only concern that I might have there.
One of the challenges in the past with our AC-related work is that it became so decentralized
Yeah, I got
that
that.
we
You don't
kind
know
of got a
what-
little bit
yeah.
into crisis management mode, that we just waited for it to break. and-
Right.
I
Or
got
somebody
you.
would do it, and then it would
Right,
stop,
and
you know, and it would
I
just,
got you.
that happens. But with respect, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
with respect to the other items on the wish list, like the 3 gates at Public Works Yard for 60,000, is there any particular item that any of you would like more information on, or maybe not consider funding?
I would, the only thing I was going to ask, our Public Works Director mentioned that the costing, or the cost estimate of the yard improvement was divided out into 6 phases, and the 250 is tied to, I think, about half of them, right? The first 3 phases, is that right? The heavily used area?
The 3 phases include all the paved areas right now.
Okay. So the 250 capital expenditure wish list is for all of the phases to be completed, or 3 of the 6?
No, for 3, for the
Okay.
paved areas, it's for a grind and overlay. It doesn't include any new dirt areas into doing asphalt.
It's whatever's
Yeah,
paid.
my only
Whatever's
question
paved.
is this, as this is, I think is echoed, long overdue, is there any, can we phase it out even a little bit more? Can we do 2, 2, and 2, or, for consideration next year? Is there, or are the first 3 phases so tied together, you almost cannot start one without the other?
Yes, sir, they're very tied together
Okay, that's what
because of economies of scale and mobilization. It just makes sense to, and that's our estimate, and just to give you an example, our estimates in-house for Fire Station 1 and Senior Center were 200,000, and the bids came in at 130. So that's our in-house estimate. So it may be actually lower once we take it out to bid.
Okay, very good. And then, thank you. And the only other question I had, it may be a small thing, but we had kind of the ornamental lighting project in phases last year, including moving forward. Is that not included? Weren't we looking at different phases as far as?
Enterprise and special funds will be taken up April 21st. We hope
Okay.
to identify pedestrian-related items,
Got it.
lighting issues, the planters and benches, a lot of those topics will bubble.
Thank you, yeah.
And this is just general fund.
Right.
And I did fail to include one item, and I apologize. It is, we want to replace our ailing podium that is used at all of the traveling special events.
I have a story about that podium. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
And it actually is on our capital wish list, but in this.
Coming out of my paycheck.
the rush.
Dropped out of someone's truck.
Dropped out of the
It's
helicopter.
the sound built into the frame and a durable box, and we certainly appreciate the chance to use Councilmember or Mayor Nava's podium at our
Right.
last event. It really served us well, much better than our own podium.
That thing has traveled Southern California.
It has, with many digging phases.
So
Might as well leave it.
that estimated figure is approximate, it was in, I don't want to give you a heart attack, in the $4,000 to $5,000 range
really?
with the sound built into it and the microphone and a
All right.
large enough amplifier for outside.
Yeah,
Hey, let's do it.
need to have a
expensive.
nice one. I mean,
Do it.
Wow,
We need it.
That seems like an awful lot of money.
we're going to have to do a fundraiser.
I know, right?
Donnie will think of one.
Right, Donnie?
poor Donnie,
Maybe a,
he gonna let you
Sell
live
the
it down,
beer
huh,
at
bro?
at his mixer.
Right. Yeah, you got it.
There you
I'm
go.
going to promote that.
All right. Podium fund. There you go. Every drink counts.
Any other, what we plan to do is This topic, as well as special and enterprise funds, will be part of an overall budget presentation that comes to you in May. If there are any other items that you want to see us look at, we're happy to do so. But this was our best thinking, and I'll share with you too, the great pain that staff went to. The list was a lot longer than this. So we appreciate your consideration of the projects. We have many, many worthy activities that we'd love to undertake.
Staff's been conservative.
I think you have been conservative, and you've been considerate of the fact that we're fiscally conservative. We have been for the past several years. I'm happy to see that we're in this position and not some other position where we're having to take from the general fund just to keep us operating and providing services for the community. That doesn't seem to be the case, and now we're in a position to where we can make some necessary improvements that really have been needed for quite some time, especially like the parking lot rehabilitation. That thing has been looking terrible for years. So if there's no heartburn on any particular item from council members, I'd like to move forward with the recommendations of council. Is there any concern with any particular item from anyone?
Are you making a motion, or?
No,
you're
it's just a direction.
I think it's just
Okay.
workshop stuff.
I'm fine with it.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Look at the surprise on everyone's face.
Thank you very much.
They're thinking there's money on the table.
I know, right?
All of these items will come to you in another form, not only budget adoption, but if they're in excess of $15,000, they'll all fly by council before any action is formally taken. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda, thank you, Rosanna. Next item on the agenda is informational reports. 6A, monthly staffing report, prepared by Shirley Bonilla. She's not here. Would you?
Included in your packet
It's all in the
is our one-time per month summary. We've got a couple of positions that have been filled in the last month. The one that we're excited to report out on is that we have a new lab analyst, and it is a person who has been working as an OIT at our, first served as a long-term volunteer at the wastewater treatment plant, then was picked up as an OIT and is now our lab analyst. So we're really excited to bring her to a council meeting and introduce her in the future. And if you have any other further questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Any questions from council? No?
None?
All right, well, we'll move on to the next item, is record of building permits for 2015, prepared by Francisco Soto, building official.
That's simply a summary document for your edification.
Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Looking good.
The next item is the attendance summary and minutes for City of Brawley boards and commissions from January 1st through March 31st of 2015. And this is informational report C, starting with 1, Planning Commission.
Right, so these are just provided for informational purposes so that you're aware on a quarterly basis of how appointees are participating. And we've also included the minutes to help you keep abreast of the topics that are going before each of the city's bodies.
Are there any concerns with attendance of members at any of the commissions or boards?
You're asking staff or?
I'm asking you.
Okay. The one item that you might take note of is on page 149. We've had some challenges meeting our quorum for Airport Commission. We often meet even if there isn't a quorum. And we have had, unfortunately, Mr. Gibson has been struggling with his health, and we haven't had the benefit of his participation, although I recently spoke with his spouse, who indicated he's feeling much better and trying to make it to a meeting here in the near future.
That's what he says.
In the recent appointment of Mr. Feiling, we have a new, which I think will help moving forward.
There's no other questions or comments regarding the commissions and boards. I'll move on to city council member reports. Councilmember Noriega?
Well, again, I went to the Brawley Street Art Initiative, and, it's gratifying to see lots of young kids out there, not just the older people, but I think the younger ones take more pride in this kind of art. As a senior citizen, unless you're around it quite a bit, then you know that this comes from the heart. These These people are really putting in everything they have, heart and soul. Congratulate the boys for just getting out there and unfortunately having to put up their own money, and hopefully you will be able to get some funding, some other place. And congratulations for making it come true. The only thing I got was the American Legion, just one of them came out and said, do all of these people have a permit? Does the city charge them for having a permit? I think he was a little more upset because there wasn't any parking in their area. They had to go in the dirt area. But all in all, everyone else thought it was really good. So congratulations to the staff. I forget the gentleman's name that was out there taking care of the trash and all that. So, and talking
Miguel
about.
and Julian.
Who was it?
Miguel and Julian.
Yes. And not only that, I want to thank the staff and Rosanna for picking up that area around there. One day I was waiting to pick somebody up there and in back of what I used to call Newberry's, now it's Victory Outreach. And as I waited, I saw this truck pull up in front of the trash bin behind the store, the secondhand store. And I wasn't really, paying too much attention. And I was looking to see if the person that I was giving a ride to was coming out. And all of a sudden I heard this big bang, and I saw this big bed come over on the top of their truck and everything else that was on top of it, and the truck took off. He took off so fast, I looked at him, and I had my phone, and I guess he just stepped on it. I couldn't get his license plate number, but he had I sent a picture to Rosanna. I mean, so much trash out there. People just throw their trash on somebody else's yard. I mean, it was sad, but I want to thank the staff for going and picking it up, and the other trash cans that were further down on the other side of Victory Outreach, that was also cleaned up. So thank you all for taking the time to do that, and thank you, Rosanna.
Thank you. Councilmember Couchman.
Well, I attended the BUHS Career Day, got to speak to some of the students over there about career potentials, and I kind of go over my 8-minute industry experience, but also my workforce director experience and my time here on the city council with the students. And I'm sure they all appreciate that, and there's a lot of people, a lot of students, they're well aware of where they want to go in their career, and there's many that aren't aware. And so you kind of go through the scenario with them, you talk to them about their career potential, what they want to do, when they graduate from high school. And I thought, well, overall it was a great event, very well attended, probably more people attending than I've ever seen. They have a really nice event, and Brawley High School should be thanked for putting that on for the students, and also I think it was a great event. Easter egg hunt, Pat and her staff, and also a lot of other staff on the city make that possible here in the city of Brawley. Probably 1,000 kids. I thought we were each going to get a rattlesnake, but they didn't hand out any. They had animal control down there looking for rattlesnakes. They had the Easter bunny hopping around, scaring the kids to death. They had all kinds of things going on. Little kids running around. I could point out several children that were over there that were scared of the Easter bunny, but I won't. But it was a great event. About 1,000 kids. And they're all out there, and they're all excited about the Easter eggs, and everybody had a great time, and Pat and her staff should be commended for that. It was a great Easter egg thing. The fire department was there. They blew the whistle, starting everybody off. I think if I had to be in one of them, I'd want to be there with the older kids, because the younger ones, there's too many of them. There's like thousands of them, and they just,
Beat up on sound.
The older kids, they can get the eggs, and they're not that rowdy, but those little ones, they're rowdy. Okay, but that was a great event, had a good time. And everything else has been moving right along. Little League, we've been doing that. We had a little issue with the lights, but I think we've got that resolved, and I think the staff got right on that, and I think they've got that issue taken care of. And like I say, there's a lot of things going on in the city. There's a lot of development going on that people aren't maybe not aware of, and there's a lot of things happening here in Brawley, so good. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilmember Couchman. Councilmember Campbell.
Yeah, I attended my regular SCAG meeting. I attended the regular LAFCO meeting. I was the chair of LAFCO for the last year, and Jason Jackson was voted in as the chairperson for LAFCO, and Mike Kelly as the assistant chair. And That's a pretty interesting committee. Doing
With
zone
the addition of
changes
Jason as
and-
the, or Justin?
Interesting.
No, that's good. It's a nice
That's what I
committee.
would call
It gets interesting sometime with some of the zone changes and moving things from the county into the cities and different projects, but it was nice. Looking forward to going to the league dinner on Thursday. It's going to be held in Westmoreland, and then I just want to pass the word along that the Taste of the Valley is going to be this coming Friday in Calexico at the San Diego campus. And I was talking to Jack Hart, and they're trying to move that event to Brawley next year, to our San Diego campus here, so it would be nice if we all can attend that and break our diet and eat, and eat.
Kind of news to the valley.
Yeah, last year was really nice, I had a good time, we enjoyed it, so. Other than that, thanks staff for all that they do, and I just ask that God continue to bless you guys and your families, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. Mayor Pro Tem Wharton?
Thank you, Mayor. And Don, I'm a good example of the Taste of the Valley. I attend almost every day in some form or fashion somewhere.
I enjoyed it.
And I do enjoy it, but I just mentioning one more time, I know it wasn't mentioned, but I think since our last meeting, I do want to put out that I think the town hall meeting was fantastic, and I really appreciate, the mayor, my fellow council members, all of staff. What a great launch. I hope it's the beginning of something new. Won't belabor all the good points that were made there, but I think it was a great opportunity for our town to come together and participate that much more in what we do here every 2 weeks. So again, I thought that was fantastic. I made a short, kind of almost a cameo appearance, but I did go to the Regional Water Workshop up in Sacramento. The only thing I want to mention there is what a contingent, and we were very well represented, I think, as a valley, on probably the most important topic that we could be talking about right now. Needless to say, salt and sea issues, future issues, some of the largest environmental issues we're facing, not just environmental, but also economic. And rest assured, for those of you that did not happen to catch that, it did stream online. The Valley was very well represented, top to bottom. So, also was able to attend the collab breakfast, along with most of my fellow council members here. As always, we were able to, it's kind of the same group, we were able to hear from, both the county and Imperial Irrigation District. Kind of echoed a lot of what we heard at the town hall meeting, but again, City of Brawley well represented, and it's always great for us to host that, along with the Stockman's Club. I attended the Monte Carlo night, Doves. I know Councilmember Couchman did as well. Good time had by all. I think it was their 30th, if I'm not correct, something like that. So many years, great cause, a lot of dedicated folks that make that happen every year. Once again, Taste of the Valley, I partook, and didn't win much, even with the fake money. But well attended by the family too. Yeah, I brought
some ivy-covered rabbit.
Well decorated, by the way. If you walked into the Stockman's Club that night, that was a different look from top to bottom, so it was great. And then also my work capacity, but as well as the city, I was able to enjoy actually and being a part of the Spring Fling with Barbara Worth Junior High School. And what a great event. I think it was very well attended, obviously, by the families that are obviously part of that school. And I want to thank the administration for having us there. I was able to have the Reach helicopter actually fly in, and we were there for a couple hours. We had a lot of great interaction with the public there. But again, it was just a great event, well done by the school. And my final little plug, shameless plug, is we do have a chamber mixer coming up. I know Jason didn't quite mention that yet, because I think he was kind of talking about the past a little bit and a little bit about the upcoming event. But I do want to put on your calendars, notifications will go out. There's a chamber mixer, April, at the Brawley Municipal Airport. Near and dear, I think, to a lot of us. I want to promote the airport. We had a great aviation event, so I thought, what a great place to host a Reach mixer. So we are moving forward with plans with the hangar. We will have food, we will have music, we will have airplanes, we will have helicopters, we will have raffles, and we'll have a lot of good-looking people in flight suits, so come on out. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
President Company, accept.
Thank you.
Shameless plug.
Well, first, I'd like to thank staff for your assistance with the town hall meeting. Also like to thank the council. Everybody, I think, enjoyed the evening. and hopefully it's a start of other town hall meetings that we'll have in the future. I think the concept is a good one. People get an idea of what's happening, not just within the city of Brawley, but all the aspects of their elected lives here locally. So that, I think, will take off, and I hope to see it successful next year. Also attended the Career Day at Brawley Union High School. That was it's always a pleasure to be able to talk to young folks. I wish I had more opportunities like that growing up, but they get exposed to different careers, and I do want to thank staff that participated in that as well, and our fellow council members that did as well. So thank you all. I appreciate that opportunity to do that. The art walk I participated in the other day, I went out and I actually spent a lot of time downtown on Friday. I was able to enjoy Inferno as well, but we have so much potential in downtown. We have so much potential in Brawley, but we've been working on trying to get events down there. We're taking back Main Street and the other stuff. We have the farmers market. We have a lot of momentum right now, and we really need to capture people's attention. We need to make sure that we take advantage of the opportunity that's before us, and that is to have a really vibrant downtown. We have that opportunity. We have investment in downtown. We have people that have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in refreshing old buildings and making new use out of old space. And so, the Art Walk is just a tremendous example, and that really, I commend you too for putting it together and working on it. And I know there's others involved in city staff, but without that idea and the concept, it would never have started. So I really want to get behind it. I think it really can encourage a lot of people to come downtown, enjoy it, and after that, enjoy something else. Maybe go to Inferno or another restaurant or maybe some other nightlife, and there's an opportunity for somebody to make some investment out there as well. So I was really pleased to see the outcome. That I wasn't able to attend the first one. I attended this last one, and I was pleasantly surprised to see so many people out there enjoying themselves, and merchants of all kinds, selling their artwork and kind of just experience the moment. The weather is beautiful. It has been, at least for the past few days, and I really am glad that that night's atmosphere was really positive and the weather was nice and people got to see it. And my brother and myself, I bought some artwork, he bought some things. Interesting story. He wanted to purchase a Beatles. It was a painting. It was the Beatles. And when he went back, they were gone. He inquired about it, and they said, "Well, that person's left." And so, but here's her number. So he called her up. Hey, I wanted to buy it. Well, we'll head on back. Well, it turns out the artist is my godmother's granddaughter, and so my she passed away many years ago, but and I hadn't seen her daughter, and much less her granddaughter or her daughter's daughter, in many years. So just coincidence, but I just thought that was a cool, interesting little story to tell, and it's artwork that brought people together. Really, I mean, literally, it did. So I hope that continues, and I'm supportive of it. I hope that if I can help, I certainly will. I know between Councilmember Wart and myself, we participate in the Main Street Committee, and while we may not have the time and energy to commit right now, I know that we can get behind something, get some resources, financial resources to push it forward. So count on my support. And also participated in the ICTC, our regular meeting for ICTC, and some other things. But just want to thank everybody, thank staff for their hard work on our budget workshop, and for putting together not just a balanced budget, but for giving us a short list of items that really can improve our community. And that's, I know you call it a wish list, but it's improving for tomorrow. I may not be on council next year, and it will be something that I contributed to, and the rest of council did too. So again, thank you all for coming out here. That's my report, and we're going to move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you. At our next council meeting, there will be not only the Enterprise and Special Funds Workshop, but also a water conservation update. We want to make sure that we're bringing to you the latest information with regard to the executive order that came out. And also, we were pre-scheduled to have the item come forward for the power washing portion of our ordinance. So we were already targeting this council meeting for that update. It's perhaps a more restrictive environment than even when the ordinance was first adopted, but aim to bring you the newest information at that time. Wanted to share with you, if you're not already aware, that the Board of Supervisors, as stated by Chairman Kelly at the Town Hall, they will be convening in various jurisdictions throughout the valley, and the chairman has requested that Brawley be that first destination. So that meeting will take place on April 28th here in our council chambers, and we'll send out information to the council and hope that you can be here in support of the Board of Supervisors. The Brawley Beautiful initiative is moving full steam ahead. Because of the Easter holiday, it was a little challenging to nail down dates. Our paint advisor is actively working with a number of key properties, and we'll be very excited to see those improvements come to life in the month of April. We've got fully on board 3 commercial properties with 2 in the wings. It looks very possible that number 4 will happen here in the short term, with the final property coming on a little later this summer. So happy to see that move ahead, and lots of interest was expressed after the KYMA interview, which was surprising to me how many people watched that local news venue and said, I want this pricing available. Can you get an extension? And Imperial Stores was gracious enough to extend the premium pricing to April 19th. So we're hoping that the mid-level grade is running the whole month of April, but there was a desire on the part of some of the interested parties to use the higher-end option. So we're really happy to see those projects get scheduled and move ahead. Last item is that I will be out the rest of this week, starting tomorrow, and our city engineer will be functioning as the acting city manager. So if you have any needs, she'll be happy to help you. And the League of Cities meeting this Thursday, she'll attend as well.
So Yasmin, are you ready for the text and the emails that you're going to get just tomorrow starting? Yeah? That's just from council.
just
and then
gave you
imagine-
That's just from the council, that's not the.
Yeah, right.
The public will start coming out Thursday.
Don't worry, we'll break her in for you.
I like the midnight hour.
Our next report will be our treasurer's report. And that's an update on the City of Brawley investment activity.
Yes, good evening, Ruby Walla. I'll be presenting on behalf of Mr. Hamilton. It's just an investment activity report, just to give you an update of our investment position through December 31st. Again, just showing all our positions that we have with LAIF, Community Valley Bank, Sun Community, and the number of CDs that we've purchased. Again, you'll notice in the second page, we did make our purchase deviating from CDs, since we have $10.7 million in CDs to date. We did make our first $1 million purchase of a U.S. government bond, and that was one. Right now, we're at a standstill. Again, I have not moving on anything with our broker as far as after we get through budget process on that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council? No questions. Thank you very much for that update. Next item is the city attorney's report.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hamilton, you're coming
Mr.
up.
Hamilton.
Okay, I have a update on the California Midwinter Fair, and that's because Brawley plays a major part in our fair. The first week, Sunday and Monday, we lost 2 days. We had to shut down.
Yeah.
Well, we made it all up on the last 2 days. So our gate was 98,000, or a little over 98,000. This year, we added the auto races, which brought cars and people from other areas, and it did fill the stands, and it added to the gate. Of course, one of my jobs is to go around and talk to all the vendors, and this year, they were all very happy. They all done well. Their sales were up from previous years, and that went well. And then we have our committees, our livestock committee, which is Bo Shropshire, Daryl Bosick, Joe Montenegro. They work year-round practically with these kids. And then also Charisse Alfred with the Junior Fair Board. I have 2 committees myself, is veterans and senior citizens. We tried to sign up all the veterans we can. A lot of these young guys coming out from their more recent wars like Afghanistan and all that, they don't understand the value of signing up for all their benefits, so we work on that. On my other committees, senior citizens, this is our second year of seniors entertaining seniors. There's a lot of talent there that's laid dormant for years, and some of these people are really anxious to, we got a group from Clexico, about 20 women. They're all in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. They line dance. They do this year-round for exercise, and they're good. And then they got one little 93-year-old lady that's always 2 beats behind everybody else. Then our auction done $1.8 million. It was up $100,000 over the previous year. And some of these board members in other areas cannot believe the prices our kids get for their animals. It's just unbelievable. And so we have the 4-H, FFA, and the grains, and these volunteers, some of these people have worked with these kids for years, and they're the real heroes because nobody recognizes them, anything else, and some of them are back the following year to work. And so they're the real heroes. And the auction was up, the vendors were all up, everything was good. We just had a great year, even losing 2 days. So, but Brawley is really gets out there. We have Brawley people really supporting us, and we really appreciate all the support we get. And of course, the state cut off our funds 3 years ago. We don't get any money from the state, but they still tell us what to do. But, there's 13 counties in the state of California that depends on the state money, and they're not getting it, and they're in very serious financial problems. We don't have those problems because of the support we get in Imperial County from the various communities. So we just want to say thank you for all the support, and people of Brawley, okay?
Mr. Hamilton, thank you for your update, and thank you for your efforts. Thank you very much.
You know, Mr. Hamilton, that thing with the state, that's called unfunded mandates.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mandates.
City Attorney's report.
J Street is moving forward. The receiver got his order to sell the property. He's accepted bids, and he has a high bidder. I'm not going to name names right now because he's doing his due diligence to see if this is a responsible bidder. And, but once he's done with that, it'll be a petition to approve it. And it's, the judge ordered the bidder to put up a bond, $20,000 bond, to make sure it gets rehabbed. If not, we'll call the bond and do it ourselves. Or the receiver will, not us. And then the final thing is when he petitions the court to approve the sale, people will be able to go to court and overbid, and if they're qualified. So the judge has the final say, but it is moving along. I did get the news about the bidder this morning, in fact.
Fantastic.
Great.
Well, thank you for that update. City Clerk's report?
Just a reminder, the league dinner Thursday, the Town Pump,
What time? Did you get my order?
6 to 9.
Thank
6 to
you.
9, yes.
6.
Thank you for that. Well, I want to thank the public. Thank you all for coming out. We're going to take a 5-minute break and go into closed session, so thank you again. Appreciate it.
I ordered frog legs, right?
Yeah, lobster.